site and build a Taco Bell? No, they could not, because they would be tied to the site plan. The site plan, as you can see, doesn't have any provision for a drive-through facility.
So there would be absolutely no additional buildings other than what is on this site plan.
Right. What's on this site, I kind of paraphrase, it would be like, what you see is what you would anticipate getting. There wouldn't be any removal and replace it with something completely redesigned without going through the zoning process.
So basically the only place that would be considered a restaurant or anything along those lines is what is currently, is it the house that's on the property near the parking lot?
Commissioner Alvey is noted as the rectory, and that would be where the proposed use of perhaps a coffee house or some sort of other restaurant style use could be. If the applicant between now and the public hearing seeks further flexibility in the location of where maybe a sandwich shop or cafe or a microbrewery or something like that, or restaurant, they would need to specifically notate that. Like, for example, what's shown as existing office, proposed use of office or light retail. If they wanted a restaurant over there, they would need to indicate that before we go to a public hearing. Same goes for the rectory. If they want to do something completely different than what's listed on the site plan, they would need to notate that now. Otherwise, this is what they would be locked into. That's because of the plan development is it's like gluing this to the project.
Are there any issues with the fire department being nearby across the street with regard to, I mean, obviously a church is busy during very specific hours of the week, but the rest of the week, there's not a lot of comings and goings. And I'm just wondering if this property is allocated to be a much more usable property. In a sense, there's going to be a lot of people coming and going, and I don't know if that would interfere with the fire department across the street. And granted, I realize there's fire departments all over Phoenix and every place that are mixed in with crazy traffic and everything else. I'm just wondering if that has an impact on how they manage things over there.
I will advise there's a couple comments that, if I may, Commissioner Alvey, through the chair. The Goodyear Fire's only comments so far have been to address the circulation and access points of the facility. There hasn't been an indication that the use itself, uses as proposed, would interfere with the operations of the facility to the west. Really, their comments have been related to making sure that the access points meet current standards in terms of width, paving type, and details. Items that will generally be addressed when if the project were to go to site plan design review, if the zoning case were to be approved, would be handled at that time. But they've only looked at the use. They haven't said anything about interference.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Do any other commissioners have any questions of Mr. Sanks?
I had a question about the traffic impact statement. You said it was sent to the city on May 13th and receipt confirmed on May 16th. Is that posted anywhere, Jason?
Commissioner Lawrence, that's generally sent over to the city engineer for review, just to ensure that there's not any known issues or conditions that would need to be placed on the site as a result. I don't believe it's placed, we don't usually post it on the website. It's kind of a technical document, but we certainly can share it with anybody because it's a public record. As it's been submitted as part of the project, in fact, requested by the city to verify that we wouldn't have any traffic problems. Or if we did, that we need to understand what mitigating measures the project would need to take care of it. If you would like a copy of it, Daniel can certainly email that to you or all of the commission, anybody that would like to review it. And I believe as we approach the public hearings, we could put it on there wouldn't be an issue with putting it on the city website. I mean, it's public record.
I would think for a study session, that would be very helpful, whether it's for us, for the planning and zoning, or for the city council.
Certainly, we can do that. As a matter of, I recognize the interest. I just wanted the P&Z, the commissioners, to know that in the study sessions and even staff reports that I've done over the many years, we haven't oftentimes actually attached a full traffic impact statement or study to a report. unless there was something ultimately very concerning about the project, because they can be somewhat voluminous in terms of numbers of pages and create a very large packet. And a lot of times people aren't technically inclined to understand it. I recognize you may be. And we usually share it as requested, but we can bring it forward next month. I just wanted you to know we didn't purposely leave it out for any other reason other than we don't normally include technical documents like grading and drainage docs and traffic impact statements. Usually those are kept as reference documents in the file for the city engineer to review.
It would be helpful to have an executive summary, so it's not too voluminous and you can.
Oh, you know what I'll do, Commissioner Lawrence, is as we approach the public hearing, we'll include an excerpt from the executive summary and the staff report.
Thank you.
Do any other commissioners have any questions?
Yes. Bob Derry,
Go ahead.
in regards to Commissioner Melby's question, that fire department has not been there for the past year and a half. It is now a public works building for the city of Litchfield Park. And and because we use Goodyear for fire, they know all the maps and areas, and they have, you know, multiple truck routes that they can come in. So I don't see that there would be an issue here. And also the building is sprinkled, so they'd be able to keep that intact with the remodel.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it is used as a maintenance facility, and it has changed use recently. And I have the Google Maps here. I know when I pulled up the maps earlier, I was like, oh my goodness. And then I realized, I remembered it was a maintenance facility with all of these vehicles in the back, but that's what it that's what it looks like as of whenever Google flew over this thing. So, but even as a maintenance facility, I just want you to Goodyear, it was routed to Goodyear Fire for review.
Okay, any other commissioners with questions?
I did have one more question. Can this be during a study session or whatever evaluated in different phases? For instance, like maybe there's people would not object to some of the space being used for office, but they might object to some of the space being used for retail. So is that just something that would come out of the public process and be mitigated at that time? Or is that something that you're looking at the Planning and Zoning Commission for a recommendation to City Council maybe next month or so, but just to see if the project can be divided up, so to speak, one that may be more acceptable to the neighbors and to the city than another and the developer?
To the chair, Commissioner Lawrence, yes, during the public hearing, once we have all of the public present, if there is a suggestion or a wish or a direction to modify the project via condition, if you will, to modify the site plan or the allowed uses in any or part of the project, it could be done at that time and a motion could be made. And if it could be successfully passed that way, it could be done through that means. Otherwise, at this time, if the commission, if the members of the public want to email or contact the citizen review process, I would recommend anybody that's participating send everything to Daniel so that it can be incorporated into the case file. It would be also presented to the applicant, and then the applicant can make the decision if they want to make any changes to their application prior to public hearing. Otherwise, in the public hearing process, we could recommend the case and add conditions as needed.
Great, thank you.
Okay, any other commissioners with any questions? If not, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
A motion to adjourn, is there a second? We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Hearing none, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.